U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick took a shot at Canada's auto industry. Lutnick spoke at a conference in Toronto where, behind closed doors, he reportedly told the audience that when it comes to the auto sector, it's America first, Canada second. Ontario Premier Doug Ford heard that full speech, saying it was clear Washington wants Canadian car assembly operations moved to the U.S.
I would say it's a massive threat when you have the Secretary of Commerce coming out and saying that, and the President. You'd only say it if the President gave him the green light. So we have to be prepared.
And yet, in the middle of this warning shot from Washington, something unexpected happened. In Ottawa, China's ambassador to Canada delivered a message of his own, one that could completely change the direction of Canada's economy. He said China would remove tariffs on Canadian canola if Canada scraps its 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. Two messages worlds apart, but both aim squarely at Canada. One threatens us, the other tempts us. And right now, Ottawa stands at a crossroads. Follow Washington's orders, or finally act in Canada's own interests. Howard Lutnick's remarks weren't random. They were calculated. Every word was a signal from Washington that under Trump's leadership, Canada is not a partner. It's a competitor. He made it clear that the U.S. wants to reclaim control of manufacturing, even if it means dismantling the North American production chain we've built for decades. Even Ontario Premier Doug Ford called it a massive threat. And he's right, because when a senior Trump official talks about moving car production south, that's not diplomacy. That's economic aggression. It's the U.S. saying, we'll take what's ours, and yours too if we have to. So why, in the middle of all this, is Canada still enforcing Washington-style tariffs on Chinese EVs? Tariffs that hurt our own farmers, consumers, and industries more than anyone else's? Tom Mulcair said it best. Canada didn't create this problem. We copied it. We mirrored U.S. protectionism out of loyalty, not logic.
So, China's ambassador to Canada says China will drop its tariffs on agriculture if Canada drops its EV tariffs on China. How should Canada respond?
Favorably. I think this will also play very interestingly into our current negotiations with the Americans. Listening to Howard Lutnick this week saying he wanted to destroy the Canadian automobile industry, but trying to make sure that Canadians have no choice but to buy American cars, that's called pushing your luck in terms of a negotiation. Back in the fall, a year ago, before Trump was reelected, Canada made a deal with the United States that we would follow their lead and add a 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. There was frankly no reason for it other than the fact that the Americans saw that the Chinese were coming in with cars that were of high quality and were much less expensive than anything the Americans could manufacture. They were worried about their industry. So we put ourselves in lockstep with them, Renee, and we said, okay, 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. What did we get in return from the United States? We got attacked. We were told we were going to be made the 51st state. We were told that they were going to go after our auto industry and our other key industries and cripple us economically. Oh, and by the way, the Chinese, of course, in a tit-for-tat move, after we imposed those tariffs, decided to impose some of our agricultural products, including canola. That's really hurt our farmers out west, in particular on the prairies. But it's also something that the average Canadian taxpayer has to worry about, because, of course, those farmers are going to have to get subsidies.
And that decision had real consequences. When Trump slapped a 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles, Ottawa followed suit, trying to look tough and aligned. But Beijing retaliated, hitting our canola exports and cutting off a market worth billions to Canadian farmers. Mulcair was blunt. The U.S. will always act in its own interest, and every time Canada tries to mirror Washington, it ends up hurting Canadians, not Americans. We've been promised partnership. What we got is dependency. And now, as Trump's Commerce Secretary threatens to pull auto jobs south, we're learning that lesson the hard way. This is where the story takes a turn. While the U.S. threatens to take from Canada, China is offering to give.
With me now is China's ambassador to Canada, Wang Di. Hi, Ambassador. It's a pleasure to welcome you back to our studio. Thank you for making the time.
谢谢你再次请我来。
Thank you for inviting me again.
I'm going to start right away on the primary irritant between Canada and China right now, and that is the tariffs on electric vehicles and tariffs on canola and other agricultural products. I have a very simple question. Are the tariffs on Canadian agricultural products directly on there because of the EV tariffs?
I think the question you have raised touches the crux of the problems in our trade relations. I agree with what you said, that China's tariffs on Canadians' agricultural products are a countermeasure against the EV tariffs and the unilateral unjustified tariffs on China's steel and aluminum products. And I have said multiple times, if Canada is ready to correct these practices, China will also respond accordingly.
Can I follow up then and ask very bluntly, if Canada removes the tariffs on Chinese EVs, China will then remove tariffs on Canadian agricultural products?
So if Canada removes the unilateral unjustified tariffs on Chinese products, China will also reciprocate accordingly. And if the EV tariffs are removed, then China will also remove the tariffs on the relevant products of Canada.